Well, welcome everybody. We have a lot of people from all over the US joining us. I'm kind of doing a quick scan. Do we have every time zone represented? We might be missing mountain time, but oh well.
Mountain time just came in.
Oh, okay, Greg.
Okay,
Yeah, good, good.
that's
So
great.
every time zone is present and accounted for. Deb is the official host of this Zoom meeting. Are we still having people join us?
Yes, but it has tapered down. I think we're pretty much at I think you could start.
This is
Okay.
this is Museum of Swedish America.
Yeah.
This is ecumenical night at MoDA. Uh-huh.
Cool.
We are very pro pan-Nordic participation. All right. Well, welcome everybody. As for those of you who have joined this type of program before, I've got a PowerPoint slideshow to share with you all, just as a way to kind of share some of the updates from the museum, both behind the scenes within our staff team and in our public events and exhibitions. A few previews of things that are coming up in the next few months. And then I'll have time for questions that you might have about how things are going here at our home base in Elkhorn and what what some of the things are that we're working on that I might have either neglected to catch you up on or you would like more information on. So I'm going to share my screen and we will get started now. Deb, is that showing up as we
Yes, it's correct.
wanted to? Great. Okay. Okay, so um uh, it has been quite a busy fall. I realized that the last time we did a What's Up at MoDA meeting was in May. I'm just gonna skip this summer. Summer was great, lots of fun things, but it's been such a busy fall that I'd really like to focus on some of the things just in the last couple months. And I want to start off with our visit on October 4th from the Danish ambassador Jesper Møller Sørensen. The Danish embassy reached out to us in late summer, informing us that the new Danish ambassador was planning a trip to Iowa, and he really, really wanted to visit the Danish villages. And so we said, great. And it was wonderful opportunity to partner with the embassy staff on making sure that we could share both our community and invite our community to meet the ambassador and also take the ambassador on a tour of the Danish villages. We were really glad that our board member, Eric Lillehoy, who grew up in Kimballton, was able to join us as well and give some local background, especially as we were in Kimballton at the Little Mermaid. And on the Danish windmill, you can see the ambassador posing there on the on the balcony range there. So it was a beautiful day. A lot of people participated, and we've received a lot of positive feedback, both from the embassy staff as well as from our local community members who attended and really made it a memorable event. And we continue to work with the embassy. Those of you on the board now know that our February board meeting will take place in Washington, D.C., because we have been invited by the embassy to a cocktail reception in honor of the Museum of Danish America. And so we will be extending invitations in the coming weeks to both current and former board members and also supporters and local members in the DC area. So you can look for information on that coming probably, closer or just after the holidays with final details. We have a lot of new colleagues joining our team. Henry Olson is the new Administrative and Visitor Services Manager. When Terry Johnson retired in August, Henry stepped into her shoes and has been a wonderful addition to our team, kind of pulling together a lot of our events. His first big challenge was, guess what? The Danish ambassador is coming. And after that, like everything is easy in comparison. So it was definitely a dive into the deep end of the pool for Henry. I also am happy to introduce David Anderson as our new museum registrar. David actually joined us this summer as an intern, specifically to work full-time with the incoming new ceramic acquisitions and to assist with the Danish ceramic exhibition that just opened. But in the process, Delaney Schurer, our registrar, received an opportunity to have a position closer to her family in North Carolina. And David put his application in with the rest of a national pool of applicants. And we were really thrilled to see that his qualifications and experience really earned him a place at the top. And we were really thrilled that he accepted our offer to become a full-time member of the staff. So both Henry and David are now settled into their new positions. But we also are looking forward to welcoming two more new staff members. Eric Mortensen will officially start next Monday as our genealogy manager and project archivist. He grew up in Ottoman County and is coming back to his roots here, but has some really wonderful skills to apply to both the genealogy reference library and resources and digital resources that we have. And so he will be based at the Genealogy and Education Center. And Anna Thomas will be starting in early December as our youth and community educator. She is a recent graduate with a master's degree in museum studies, but has already gained a lot of experience in both a variety of institutions and a variety of different facets of museum work. She's bringing great energy to our team. She too will be based at the Genealogy and Education Center, but will be responsible for programs at the museum, in the Prairie Landscape Park, at the GEC, and so she'll be out and about a lot more. But we look forward to welcoming both Eric and Anna to our team in the next couple weeks. One of our big plans that we are looking forward to officially launching is developing a new master campus plan for the MoDA grounds, for the buildings, for wayfinding, for visitor experiences. And we are really thrilled that we have secured full funding to implement this plan over the coming 10 to 12 months, so that by this time next year, we will have completed that process and will really have a framework to make decisions about next phase projects. The master plan involves a lot of different elements, and so there will be opportunities for both community members and those of you who want to participate from a distance to be involved in stakeholder focus groups and feedback, providing feedback. We want to specifically look at kind of looming questions, what could we do with the Elam property, and also with the Model A Ford that is part of our collection. We want to really understand kind of what are the long-term kind of maintenance requirements for the Jens Jensen Prairie Landscape Park. How do we need to make sure that this is always part of our operating plans and budgeting process. And we also want to look at these big picture questions of, as we, when we look at the entire museum facilities, all of its buildings, all of the grounds, where are there opportunities for new audience development, for next generation audience development, and what are some of the components in how people experience the museum that can really move these goals to a larger awareness of what we have, to a larger audience, really engaged and invested invested in what we have. So this is going to be a really important process for our museum. We haven't engaged in this type of comprehensive master plan in the past, and so we're at a point where we have a lot of strong assets, but they're not necessarily connected or talking to each other or leveraging the assets in the best way. So this is a really exciting process for us to begin. I'm also thrilled to provide some updates on projects, excuse me, that have been ongoing for a while. One of them is the Danish Sisterhood Online Digital Library. And with some really generous support from Danish Sisterhood lodges and individual members, we were able to fully fund this process, which started early in 2024, and the scanning has officially wrapped up. In fact, the scanner that we rented is now back home and no longer on site. So we have scanned well over 300 handwritten ledgers from lodges all over the country, and those will, in the next coming weeks, be added to the online digital library. And there are already new assets on that online digital library, including the almost the entire history of Danish sisterhood newsletters. So just to look at the history of who was doing what in different years, and also as a special bonus, the Danish Sisterhood Treasures Cookbook, which includes multiple dozens of recipes for frikadiller. I'm not going to quote the specific number, but it's a lot. There's a lot of variations of frikadiller in this particular cookbook. That is all entirely digitized, and you can try all of those recipes should you be so inspired. Another project behind the scenes we're working on is updating our website. We get a lot of website traffic both to information about, how to visit Elkhorn, what should we see, what exhibits are on view, to some just basic history. People look to our website to learn more about the history of Danish immigration to the US. We got more traffic than we expected on our famous Danes page. So our website becomes a really important resource, and it's been over 10 years since it was redesigned and updated. So it's definitely due. So we're working with a firm called Arkstone based in Minnesota. They are in this is just a quick snapshot of the phase we're at now, which is called wireframing. So basically making sure that all the pieces that we want to be there are there and related to each other and the way we want to relate them to. And then they will start designing and building each individual page to look like the way we want it to look. So it's been a really positive process between their team and our team, and we look forward to launching by spring 2025. And sometimes we've got some just old-fashioned digging work. It's not all scanning and digitizing and online websites. One of the projects we accomplished this summer is fixing the French drains on the east side of the building, which involved some serious heavy equipment. Driving this excavator is Grace Cruz, who was our summer Bro Prairie intern. She did have previous experience with heavy machinery, so we weren't just posing her in the cab. She was really operating this, and that was a major improvement for the water management, because for those of you who can imagine our building with that big that big roof, all of that water rushes and was landing right in the ground, and there was no tiling to really move that moisture away. So we were actually getting more moisture through the foundation walls into the basement, which happens to be one of our artifact storage areas. So we're hoping that over the long term, this really helps lower our humidity challenges in our artifact storage areas and is just better overall for the preservation of the building. One of our new exhibitions that opened just at the end of October is a poster exhibition of the work of Per Arnoldi called Advertising Art. And this was mostly posters that we received from the Danish home in Croton-on-Hudson, New York, from their collection of pieces that had previously been on view at some special events and installations at the home. And in our galleries, these are two different views. You can see, if you're not familiar with the poster art of Per Arnoldi, he has a very distinctive style, very minimalist, very based on primary colors. And yet, in its simplicity, there is this beautiful nuance of communicating the goal of whatever the poster is designed to communicate, whether it's advertising an event or a social cause or a historical commemoration. And so it's really fun to see these on the wall and to appreciate the genius behind this seemingly simple designs. But the biggest project, the one that has been consuming the collections and curatorial staff for the last couple of years, was our exhibition that just opened last Friday night on November 15th, Danish Ceramics Beyond Blue and White. And it was wonderful to have an exhibit opening at a really big kickoff event. Notably, we had guests from the Linneman Schmidt family, all pictured here, um, whose parents, the parents of the man in the red sweater and the woman in the red jacket, they were the founders of the Paushus Ceramic Studio. And it was in long, over about really a couple of years of communicating with the Linneman Schmidt family, that we have negotiated the acquisition of over 40 objects from their personal collections of what Paushus made. So Henrik and Thea, the children of the founders, they traveled from Denmark for this opening. Annalisa on the far left, who's Henrik's daughter, also traveled from Denmark. And Henrik's son, Howard, is behind Thea in the blue shirt, and his wife and his daughter live in New York City. So it was really wonderful that we could provide an opportunity for this family to both together celebrate this family legacy, and also see that the rest of us are really appreciating what that family legacy is. A couple views of the galleries, kind of how things are looking. There are 84 ceramic works in this exhibition. Walking up, you are greeted by Celia standing there next to the Danish Ceramics sign. She stands about 5 feet tall, so she's definitely the most impressive, welcoming figure. And on the photo on the right showcases some of the pieces we have from 18th century Royal Copenhagen production, um, as well as late 20th and 21st century production. These are pieces that are all by individual artists, most of whom are recognized as independent, ceramic artists in working in the contemporary art world. In between, you get just it's hard to capture in just a few photos how much is here to see. 84 objects is a lot, to present safely in cases, to interpret and to place in the context of 250 years of Danish ceramic history. But I did want to share a close-up of some of our animal figurines, our fish friends, our hippopotamus friends, our polar bear friends. Many of these are part of the transfer of objects we received from the Smithsonian Institution National Museum of American History, who contacted us several months ago saying that in reviewing some of their objects in storage, they realized that a lot of their European porcelain pieces really were not relevant to the stories they tell now. And would we be interested in some of those Danish pieces? Well, we said yes, we would. And it was perfect timing because the polar bear, the fish, and the hippopotamus there are brand new acquisitions thanks to that transfer from the National Museum of American History. So now looking ahead as we never stand still. We're always looking a few weeks, few months, sometimes a couple years ahead. And some exciting projects are kind of falling into place for 2025. In January, the Minnesota Orchestra, with its new artistic director, the Danish conductor Thomas Sonnegaard, he really wants to highlight Nordic music. And so he's put together for January what they're calling the Nordic Soundscapes series. It's a series of 6 concerts in about 9 or 10 days, kind of over 2 weekends. And they are reaching out to partners, community partners that represent the different Nordic cultures and Nordic American heritage groups. We have been invited, thanks to the connections with our current board member, Mary Ellen Johnson, who works for the Minnesota Orchestra in this role of community engagement. So we will have a table at all 6 of those concerts, staffed by sometimes staff members, sometimes current or former board members. And I am so grateful for those of you who are able to spend time greeting the concert goers for each of these events. It's a new opportunity for us, and it might not sound like the most intuitive opportunity to say we're doing Minnesota outreach in January, but but this is something that could be a really nice annual event for us to have a presence at. So we look forward to being part of that. We also just received an invitation from Grandview University to help them tell the story of some of the Danish cultural heritage. And what it looks like, based on a conversation that we just had yesterday, is that our exhibit called Happy Danes on the Plains will have an opportunity to be on view in the Student Center for several weeks at the beginning of second semester. So again, starting in January, kind of providing the Grandview community an opportunity to appreciate some of the heritage of the institution. And that will probably also coincide with an opportunity for the museum to give a actual presentation about Danish cultural heritage that will be open to faculty and students and community members. So for those of you in the Des Moines area, we will certainly make sure that when that date gets set, we will share that information out, and all of you would be welcome to attend. Also, just today, I had a phone call conversation with Christian Buga, who's the fiddler of Gangspil, which is a Danish folk music duo. And we'd reached out a while ago to explore, when they were looking at having some of their annual tours of North America, and we have confirmed that they will be in Elkhorn and playing at our Sankthansaften on June 21st, 2025. So that's great to be able to know that about our event. It's a perfect match for the style and tone and vibe of Sankthansaften, our Danish midsummer celebration. So we look forward to welcoming Gangspil. Now, more in the immediate future, of course, we are embarking on the holiday season for this year, and the tree is up. I took that picture last night, so it's official. We have new decorations indoors and outdoors. We also have our free admission for Yule Fest sponsored thanks to contributions from our current museum board members. And so I want to thank those of you who helped us really get ready for this special holiday season. I think most of you have probably received your annual design store catalog, and we're starting to get orders there. So if there's something you have your eye on, don't wait. Place your order. Things do sell out this time of year. It's an important time of year for us for both opening the doors at Yule Fest, welcoming people who are here for the holiday festival, welcoming them to our new exhibitions, but also the shopping season has a truly, impactful role in our just bottom line, and making sure that we can share these little pieces of Danish culture with people under their holiday trees. I also want to announce that we have a new partnership with Norden Aquavit. They are an aquavit producer in Michigan near Ann Arbor, and we have worked together they approached us saying we'd be really interested in basically a branded special aquavit that could help promote the museum to their customers, promote their products to our audience, and the museum will get a $10 donation for every bottle of this Yule Aquavit sold. So we're working on putting the online shopping site together right now. It will be up and live by Thanksgiving. And then this is a company that basically arranges most of their product to be mailed directly to buyers. So if this is something that you would like to include in your holiday festivities, we've sampled it. It's good. Retail price will be $56 a bottle, of 10 of which will come to the museum. So we're excited to see how this goes, and if this is something that might warrant additional opportunities like this in the future or with future flavors. So yes, that's a new addition to our holiday communications. And with that, I wanted to share this final image. These are our new lights on the museum building. They are LED lights, and so we can turn them to any color we want. This view is alternating blue and white. Every other bulb is a different color right now, and so this was up just in time for our Danish Ceramics opening, Beyond Blue and White. So for now, this is certainly the color theme of this season, and it really is a beautiful new addition. So again, thank you to board members and some local members who made a donation for these new decorations in honor of their mother and wife. So that's the look of the museum as of a couple days ago. And at this time, I will close this slideshow and I welcome any questions. Yes, Christy.
And it's not a question, but it's just a comment that is just fantastic to see so much going on, and in such a short time that you've done all of this to make it possible. And I just really appreciate it. And also, I want to make a little plug for Benedicte Ehler's autobiography. It's available in Danish and in English, and it is a worthwhile book. And I'm not sure, it's probably at the museum that they could get the copy of it. She was a former board member, and made a lot of trips of groups to in Denmark, and it's been back and forth. And Benedicte Ehlers is her name.
Yeah, and Nan is giving a thumbs up that yes, we've got it. You can acquire a copy through the museum.
Mm-hmm.
Tova, will we have the ability to get the Norden Aquavit at the store, the design store?
No. No, we will only be facilitating sales through our website, which will go to a distinct Aquavit sales website directly through Norden Aquavits. We would require a whole different level of licensing to sell liquor. And we're not going to go there. So no, we will direct sales through the proper channels. And it's an important point too, because if you go onto our design store just shopping pages, it's not going to be there. These are totally separate sales platforms, because it's a completely different fulfillment process. So that will be part of our of our challenge, is kind of communicating those connections, and hopefully clearly and without frustration. We might have an empty bottle to display and say, here's the QR code to order one with contents, but no, we do not have a liquor license.
We've never had an empty bottle at the museum, have we?
They don't last long.
Is that something that the link will be on the shopping page, or is it going to be on the actual museum page that they would find the link?
It will be what we plan to do is that we will send out an e-blast with a direct link to the Aquavit shopping page, when that site is live, and we can announce this to our full audience. There will be a page, basically a place on our website for Aquavit sales, which is separate from our design store sales. So is there the potential for confusion? Yes. And we'll be watching that and trying to mitigate that as much as possible.
I should just mention before it gets away from us, but Christian and Sonic just won a big national award in Denmark for traditional music again.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, good for them. Yeah. Well, and I should mention too that one of the reasons that we had initiated having them come next year is that we'll be opening an exhibit in our multimedia room in the spring, specifically about the Danish American musician Dwight Lamb, who was hugely influential both in among American Midwestern folk musicians and also in repatriating some Danish folk songs to Denmark that he learned from his Danish immigrant grandfather. Dwight actually passed away just in the last couple months. And so while this exhibition has been in the works for a long time, it will now be, a retrospective and in memory of Dwight. And so some of these concerts are also to really celebrate his memory and his legacy. Yes, Linda Brandt.
Tova, would we be able to get this aquavit in Ann Arbor? Ann
That's
Arbor.
a good question. Like in an actual retail environment.
Yeah.
Uh, I would hope that they have a local retail. I will research that and get back to you. Thanks, Mom.
Okay.
Everybody, my mother, Linda.
That's great.
Mhm.
Marcia had asked a question to me, does that price of the $56, does that include shipping?
Oh, that's a good question. I think no, but the owner of Norden mentioned to me that they were looking to set up a free shipping of like 3 bottles or more. So I think there's incentive for multi-bottle purchases. So I think once we get those details, through the online retailer set up, that will be in place. They've got a lot of other flavors, and the online store that will be linked to the museum's website, if you choose to purchase other bottles, we will also get a donation percentage of those additional sales of the more, traditional, Tafel aquavit. They have a strawberry rhubarb aquavit blend, which is rather nice if you like that kind of thing. So yes, they they have been, really good to work with because of their dedication to the quality of their products. And so when they first approached us, we said like, well, we're intrigued. We don't mind learning more, but we certainly cannot endorse your product without actually sampling it. And they proceeded to send a generous box of their range of bottles, not just the sample size, though. Yeah. Full size. So yeah, so we can speak with experience that yes, it's good stuff.
Hmm. How long is the Per Arnoldi exhibit up?
That is up
I don't
through
mean to spot, I don't know.
end of March, early April. If Adam is online, he's want to chime in, Adam?
Yeah, it is end of March, because I think the exhibit after that is scheduled to open April 10th.
Hmm.
So yeah, March 31st should be the last day for that exhibit.
Right.
And Adam, do you want to say a couple words about the next art exhibit in that space?
So it's going to be a traveling exhibit. I have a meeting here in a couple of weeks with the guest curator for that exhibit. She's based in Chicago, but it's called Lay Off the Land, Pieces by the Art Alliance of the Arctic South. So it's actually us branching out a little bit. The goal is to continue some of the sustainability, sort of ecological themes of nature culture, but bring that into a more artistic space. So the Art Alliance of the Arctic South is a collaboration of primarily Swedish and Finnish artists, though they live in across most of the Nordic countries at this point. And so they put together a collaborative exhibit that was on view at the Swedish American Museum in Chicago, uh, and then is going to be coming to us here next spring. Some really, really cool multimedia works coming in there. So I'm terribly excited about it.
Yeah. So stay tuned or visit us next spring.
Tova, I'm interested a little bit in knowing a little bit more about the Minneapolis orchestra concerts that you guys are connected with.
Yes.
I
Yes.
saw the little screen. It looked like I saw 3 dates, and quickly wrote down dates and times. But if you can you share a little bit more about that?
Right, absolutely. Let's see, let me confer with my calendar. Yeah, so there are actually 3 different concert programs starting on January 10th. So 10th, 11th, 12th, and then another concert program on January 16th, 17th, and 18th. And so of those 6 concerts, there's 3 different programs. And what's exciting is that as community partners, we also can share with our audience, that's you, a pay-as-you-will ticket opportunity, where you can, with the code that we can provide, and we'll provide this through our December e-newsletter as well. Um, uh, you can log in, purchase tickets, enter the code, and pay as little as $5 a ticket, although they might suggest a little more. So they're really trying to kind of make these concerts more accessible to a broader range of the community. And so that's very exciting. I can tell you that the concerts on the 10th and the 11th include music by Danish composer Carl Nielsen, and those are full orchestral pieces. The concert on the 12th is a chamber music program. And then the following weekend, the 16th, 17th, 18th, is the Nordic Folktales and Legends concert, which includes Grieg's Peer Gynt Suite, and then a contemporary composer doing modern interpretations of Grieg piano music. So that's another full orchestral concert. So it will be really interesting to see kind of how this goes. And I'll shout out to Tony Battaglia and Jens Jensen, and if David Hendy is on the call, and Cynthia McKean, all Twin Cities area current and former board members who are going to help us represent the museum at those events. So it'll be really interesting to see how that goes. We and the other community member institutions will be basically in the concert lobby for the hour and a half before each concert, answering questions, sharing information about who we are, what we do, and at different pre-concert, there will be different pre-concert activities for each things. I've heard of a piano player and singer singing Danish folk songs for one, a Norwegian style wood carver demonstrating wood carving at another, things like that.
So it sounds like we'd need to visit the website of the Minneapolis Orchestra for more details.
Yes, but
Okay.
also, we already shared some of the preliminary information
Yeah.
with our Twin City area members, but Beth, we can also forward that to you.
Because actually that is my closest large metropolitan area. Even though I don't live in Minnesota.
Yes. Yes. Yep. And as I said, that's one of the shout outs that we plan to share with our entire audience in the December e-news. And Amelia's already got you covered. She's forwarded that to your Gmail, Beth.
Okay, thank
So
you.
yes, don't go online without the special code.
Okay.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see. We'll see how that works out and how that works out for them. My understanding is that Thomas Sonnegaard is definitely committed to doing this at least into 2026, to give it a good 2 years of see what the response is, and if it becomes a longer term thing, that's great.
Thank you for the updates, Tova. We appreciate them.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Anne. Good to see you. Yep. Any other questions or curiosities? All right. Well, thank you all for joining us this evening. Always great to see familiar faces, and hope we give you a little insight into what's coming up. Keep watching on the monthly e-newsletter, on social media. Those are kind of the best ways for us to share up-to-date information on programs and activities. But also always reach out to us with any questions that you might have. Any one of our staff are happy to either answer your question or get your question to the person who can answer it. And that's what we can promise.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you everybody for joining us. Thanks
Thank
to
you.
staff
Thank you,
and
Tova.
soon to be staff members for joining us tonight. We'll all wish you a very happy holiday season.
Thank you for
Thank you. Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks everybody.
Good night.
good night.
Good night.
All right.
Thank you.